How protected is your pension plan and the history of pensions in America? This is Wes Moss from Money Matters, and I'm sitting next to Jack Nicholas here. And the reason I have that is that we're talking about pension plans, and it's little known that the PGA golfers, can you imagine, have one of the very best pension plans in America, and actually the best pension plan of all sports. There are the number of pension plans, as you can imagine, have been declining rapidly in the United States. And there's a major funding problem for a lot of pension plans in America. Right now, the PBGC, the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corp, covers about 34 million Americans' pensions on single employer plans, and another 10 million on multi-employer plans. So the PBGC, which is the backstop for pension plans, if a company goes out of business, is a very big part and consideration if you happen to have a pension. The reason I wanted to share this information is I've been in the financial industry for over 20 years now, and a lot of my clients and the families I've worked with over the years, they have pensions. And guess what? A ton of those families are getting their pension not from their former employer, but from the PBGC, because the former employer is no longer able to pay the pension amount. So when you have a pension, and if you're one of these Americans that are fortunate to have a pension, it's a really important consideration to see what's backstopping that pension for you if something happens to the PBGC. And if you're with a pension plan that is already covered by PBGC, or PBGC is paying you, it's worth going through what the math looks like and the history and the solvency right now for the very entity that is protecting pension plans here in America. In 1875, the American Express Railroad Company started the first pension that we know as of today. Since 1875 until the 1970s, pension plans continued to grow and grow and grow. 1935, Social Security Act was signed into law by President Roosevelt, and America started to try to protect workers and their future income. From 1940 to 1960, the number of people enrolled in pension plans in the United States went from 3.7 million to over 23 million people, or nearly 30% of the workforce. But something happened in 1963. You probably remember a car company called Studebaker, well-known national brand here in America. Studebaker went bankrupt, and over 4,500 employees in this iconic brand lost 85% of the pension benefits. At that point, Congress realized, hey, there's gotta be something, we've gotta do something to protect these workers if a company plan promises them benefits and they're not able to pay. So in 1974, Congress passed something called ERISA, the Employee Retirement Income Security Act, that also put into place what we know today, the PBGC, the Pension Benefit Guaranty Corp. The PBGC is an organization, it's not funded by tax dollars, it's funded by the pension plans that participate in this effectively insurance program for pensions, is meant to protect workers who are covered by pension plans in case their company goes out of business. As of 2019, the PBGC now covers up to about $67,000 worth of annual pension if something goes wrong with your employer-sponsored plan. As an example of this decline, by 1983, the pension plans in America had grown to 175,000 plans. By 2008, that had dropped to less than 47,000 plans. And of course, after the Great Recession hit, pension programs lost over $1 trillion in value. So we've gone from over 30% of the workforce covered in either private sector or state and local government pension plans to less than 22%. As of 2018, the PBGC covered almost 5,000 failed pension plans for over 850,000 retirees. As far as funding is concerned, as of 2018, the PBGC had $164 billion in obligations and only $112 billion in assets, which led to a $51 billion shortfall. Again, the PBGC is a federal agency, but it's not funded by tax dollars. It's funded from premiums paid into the plan by those who participate, or the companies that participate in pension plans. It's also funded by those premiums and what those premiums earn as the PBGC invests that money. Even the PBGC admits that they risk insolvency. If you look at their multi-employer sponsored plans, think of the really big pension plans in America that cover the Teamsters or the UFCW, the United Food and Commercial Workers programs that cover hundreds of thousands of employees. Even the PBGC says that by the year 2026, fiscal year 2026, there's only a 1% chance that program will not be insolvent. Now, it doesn't mean that Congress won't step up and do something to secure those pension plans, but of course, it's just not a guarantee at this point. I don't like sharing this bad news. And I do think that over the course of the next 10 and 20 years, Congress will step up and do something. It's too critical to the fabric of America and the retirement system in America for Congress to not do something if the PBGC really runs into some issues and they can't pay out those that are covered under the plan. So I think that there will be something that is done if there's an insolvency. But again, that's the risk that we have to just understand. There are still millions of folks that are covered by the PBGC and rely on those monthly pension checks. I think the other thought is if you have a pension plan and you are still a ways out from retirement, I don't know if I'd count on that as your sole part of retirement. I think there's other things that you really need to consider. So think about paying off the mortgage. That's something that my research for happy retirees have a high likelihood that they get their mortgage paid off within 5 years of retirement. So if you're covered by a pension plan, don't forget about the other ways to fund retirement. So of course, think about having Social Security. Many folks that have pensions are also covered by Social Security. That's your Social Security, potentially your spouse's Social Security. Maybe you have a rental property and you'll get rental income. And then of course, savings. It's well documented that happy retirees, relative to unhappy retirees, have at least $500,000 saved for retirement. The $500,000, why that's so important is that it can create an income stream of around $2,000 a month for the rest of your life with a high degree of probability. It's not guaranteed. Nothing in this life is, particularly in financial markets, but has a high likelihood that it'll pay you that around $2,000 a month for the rest of your life. Happy retirees have multiple streams of income, and there's a high propensity for retirees to be even happier if they do have a pension plan. So if you're watching this video, it means you probably have a pension plan and you've thought in the back of your head, hey, maybe do I have to worry about this? From my research, I think that the PBGC is a wonderful organization, and I do think that it will have a high degree of safety and solvency over a long period of time. Do they have some financial issues in some cases? Yes. Can Congress fix some of that? Absolutely. But again, it's not a guarantee. So I wouldn't rely on your pension to solely fund your retirement. Now, have you ever been offered the choice of taking a lump sum amount versus a monthly paycheck? And this is a very common question for retirees. It's a big financial decision. I have a whole nother video that goes through a very specific and important formula. I call this the 6% test to make that decision. Do I take a lump sum or do I take a monthly paycheck? And that's a decision that a lot of retirees are gonna have to make. That's another video right here on this same YouTube channel, Wes Moss Money Matters. Getting a check every month from a pension is wonderful. It's a huge part of retirement. But just remember, there's multiple ways to generate income in retirement, and don't let your pension check be your only check that you rely on. There's other ways to do it. Thanks for listening. Hope this is informative. You can find me and the Money Matters team at wesmoss.com. Those emails come straight to me and the team, and we'd be happy to help if you have questions about this very topic. Have a profitable rest of your day.